Hello, and welcome to this special observance in honor of the centenary of the Ascension of Abdu'l-Bahá. The local spiritual assembly of the Baha'is of St. Charles County, Missouri, wishes to welcome you, and also to express its gratitude to the Holy Day Committee members, the participants in this program, and to Alex Beasley, who produced this video. Abdu'l-Bahá was the eldest son of Baha'u'llah, the prophet founder of the Baha'i faith. As a child, Abdu'l-Bahá witnessed the persecution which his father and the other adherents of this new faith endured. When he was only 10 years old, Abdu'l-Bahá saw his father during his brutal imprisonment and torture in the Black Pit of Tehran. He fainted at the sight of his father's suffering. From that moment, Abdu'l-Bahá decided to devote his very life to supporting his dear father and the precious faith he led. And so, tirelessly, despite great hardship, and with tremendous love and kindness, Abdu'l-Bahá did just that until his death 100 years ago on this very night. Abdu'l-Bahá claimed for himself the title, the burden, and the bounty of being the servant of the glory of God. Tonight, we will hear some of Abdu'l-Bahā's beautiful prayers. We will listen to contemporaneous accounts of him by those who had the bounty of meeting him. We will even hear a rare recording of Abdu'l-Bahá himself chanting. And we will close with the reading of his tablet of visitation. Friends, as we reflect on the life of this tireless servant, our hope is that we will be inspired to spend time in contemplation or prayer to consider how each of us might arise and offer some service in honor of Abdu'l-Bahá. A new level of service, a new area of service, or a new effort in our communities. Again, thank you for joining tonight. We invite you to dim your lights, perhaps to light a candle, as we honor the life and commemorate the passing of Abdu'l-Bahá, who said of himself, "Behold the candle, how it gives light. It weeps its life away drop by drop to bring forth its flame of light."
Baha'u'llah has drawn the circle of unity. He has made a design for the uniting of all the peoples and for the gathering of them, all under the shelter of the tent of universal unity. This is the work of the divine bounty. We must all strive with heart and soul until we have the reality of unity in our midst. And as we work, so will strength be given unto us. Leave all thought of self and strive only to be obedient and submissive to the will of God. In this way only shall we become citizens of the kingdom of God and attain unto life everlasting.
My name is Abdu'l-Bahá. My qualification is Abdu'l-Bahá. My reality is Abdu'l-Bahá. My praise is Abdu'l-Bahá. Thraldom to the blessed perfection is my glorious and refulgent diadem, and servitude to all the human race, my perpetual religion. No name, no title, no mention, no commendation have I, nor will ever have, except Abdu'l-Bahá. This is my longing. This is my greatest yearning. This is my eternal life. This is my everlasting glory.
This is not servitude, but sovereignty. This is not service, but chieftainship and greatness. This is the garment of everlasting glory, with which thou hast clothed thyself. This is the rose of eternal exaltation, with which thou hast adorned thy head. It is said in the New Testament, "Whosoever will be chief among you, let him be your servant." In short, thou shouldest thank God 100,000 times for having been confirmed and strengthened in obtaining such a great gift. Know thou the value thereof, and consider that its price is highly appraised.
Whosoever works for unity and fellowship is the servant of Baha'u'llah, and Baha'u'llah is his assistant and helper. I ask God that he may cause you to be the very means of agreement and unity, that he may make you radiant, merciful, heavenly children of the divine kingdom, that you may advance day by day, that you may become as bright as these lamps, bestowing light upon all humanity.
Ocean of my presence hath ebbed, and the book of my revelation is ended. Turn your faces towards him. Turn your faces towards him. Him whom God hath purposed
branched, who hath branched from this ancient root. Abdu'l-Bahá, 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 Abdu'l-Bahá. Turn your faces towards him, him whom God hath purposed, who hath branched from this ancient root. Abdu'l-Bahá, 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 Abdu'l-Bahá. Most mighty branch, who hath branched from this ancient root. The most mighty branch, Abdu'l-Bahá, Abdu'l-Bahá, Abdu'l-Bahá. Most mighty branch, who hath branched from this ancient root. Baha'u'llah,
Abdu'l-Bahá was 8 years old when Baha'u'llah was thrown into prison. He visited him there and saw the iron collar and chains around his father's neck. As he grew older, Abdu'l-Bahá became his father's closest companion and carried out for him many important tasks. He interviewed in advance, for example, the numerous visitors who came to see his father and protected him from frivolous or ill-intentioned impositions on his work. In Akka, when nearly the entire group of Baha'is there became ill with typhoid fever, malaria, and dysentery, Abdu'l-Bahá washed, nursed, and fed the patients, taking no rest for himself. Finally, exhausted, he took ill himself, suffering in critical condition for nearly a month. These qualities of selflessness, erudition, and great humility, along with Baha'u'llah's own obvious admiration, soon won for Abdu'l-Bahá the title of the Master, although he always called himself the Servant.
In 1920, I was appointed as the first High Commissioner for Palestine under the British mandate and took an early opportunity of paying a visit to Abdu'l-Bahá at his home in Haifa. I was impressed, as was every visitor, by Abdu'l-Bahā's dignity, grace, and charm.
Seldom have I seen one whose appearance impressed me more. A tall, strongly built man holding himself straight as an arrow, with white turban and raiment, long black locks reaching almost to the shoulder, broad, powerful forehead indicating a strong intellect, combined with an unswerving will, eyes keen as a hawk's, and strongly marked but pleasing features. Such was my first impression of Abbas Effendi, the master. As he par excellence is called by the Babis, subsequent conversation with him served only to heighten the respect with which his appearance had first inspired me. One more eloquent of speech, more ready of argument, more apt of illustration, more intimately acquainted with the sacred books of the Jews, the Christians, and the Muhammadans, could, I should think, scarcely be found even amongst the eloquent, ready, and subtle race to which he belongs. These qualities, combined with a bearing at once majestic and genial, made me cease to wonder at the influence and esteem which he enjoyed even beyond the circle of his father's followers. About the greatness of this man and his powers, no one who had seen him could entertain a doubt.
Whether the topic under discussion, ranging from religion to the weather, from sunsets to the flowers, from ethics to personal behavior, Abdu'l-Bahá always struck the universal note, the note of oneness, as between the Creator and all his creations, great or small. He was a man of great spiritual stature and prophetic vision, and I shall always cherish the affection he bestowed upon me and the inspiration that his life and example have given to me ever since he first came into my life in 1908. Although of a little less than medium height, Abdu'l-Bahá made an impression on all who met him by his dignity, friendliness, and his aura of spiritual authority. His blue-gray eyes radiated a luminosity of their own, and his hands were beautiful in their own grace and healing magnetism. Even his movements were infused with a kind of radiance. His compassion for the aged, for children, and the downtrodden knew no bounds. I remember once after he had visited a Salvation Army refuge near the Embankment in London, tears came to his eyes. He could not understand how a wealthy nation like Britain could allow such poverty and loneliness in its midst. He provided a sum of money through London's Lord Mayor for the succor of the poor and derelict, the so prominent a feature of the London scene. In speaking to me, he often referred to the need for providing food and sustenance for those in want, as a primary requisite to supplying moral and spiritual food for the heart and for the mind. I well remember him, majestic yet gentle, pacing up and down the gardens whilst he spoke to me about eternal realities, at a time when the whole world was rocking on its foundations. The power of the Spirit shone through his presence, giving one the feeling that a great prophet from Old Testament days had risen up in a war-stricken world to guide and inspire all who would listen to him.
He arrived, and who shall picture him? A silence as of love and awe overcame us as we looked at him, the gracious figure, clothed in a simple white garment over which was a light-colored Persian abba. On his head he wore a low-crowned taj rounded, which was folded a small, fine linen turban of purest white. His hair and short beard were of snowy whiteness which had once been black. His eyes were large blue-gray, with long black lashes and well-marked eyebrows. His face was a beautiful oval with warm, ivory-colored skin, a straight, finely modeled nose, and firm, kind mouth. These are merely outside details by which an attempt is made to convey an idea of his arresting personality. His figure was of such perfect symmetry, and so full of dignity and grace, that the first impression was of considerable height. He seemed an incarnation of loving understanding, of compassion and power, of wisdom and authority, of strength and of buoyant youthfulness, which is somehow to find the burden of his years. And such years! One saw, as in a clear vision, that the inner grace of him had grown greater than all outer sign, and the radiance of his inner glory shone in every glance, and word, and movement as he came in with his hands outstretched.
Any day in Haifa you may meet an old man whose flowing white hair, gathered up beneath his snowy turban, proclaims his aristocratic birth, accompanied at the slight distance prescribed by respect by Persian followers with folded hands. His white beard, his blue eyes slightly flecked with brown, his commanding bearing, his dignified walk, his keen, kindly face, all proclaim him to be someone of importance and distinction. He wears the simple robe of white linen and gray linsey, customary in Persia. That man is Abbas Effendi, or Abdu'l-Bahá, the recognized face of the Baha'i faith around the world. Abbas Effendi had been carefully trained by his father to assume the leadership of the Baha'i community and to become the head of the movement. He has, in the highest degree, that great gift which we call personality, his readily given sympathy, his understanding of human nature, his power of interesting himself in every human soul which asks his advice and help, makes him passionately beloved by his people. Above all, he has that subtler quality of spirituality, which is felt rather than understood by those with whom he comes into contact.
Early on Monday morning, November 28th, the news of the passing of Abdu'l-Bahá spread over the city, causing an unprecedented stir and tumult and filling all hearts with unutterable grief. The next morning, Tuesday, November 29th, the funeral took place. A funeral the like of which Haifa, nay Palestine itself, had surely never seen. So deep was the feeling that brought so many thousands of mourners together, representative of so many religions, races, and tongues, about 10,000 in number. As the vast concourse spread around the tabernacle of his body, waiting to be laid in its resting place within the vault next to that of the Bab, representatives of the various denominations, Muslims, Christians, and Jews, all hearts being ablaze with the fervent love of Abdu'l-Bahá. Some on the impulse of the moment, others prepared, raised their voices in eulogy and regret, paying their last homage of farewell to their loved one. So united were they in their acclamation of him as the wise educator and reconciler of the human race in this perplexed and sorrowful age, that there seemed to be nothing left for the Baha'is to say. The 9 speakers, having delivered their funeral orations, then came the moment when the casket which held the pearl of loving servitude passed slowly and triumphantly into its simple, hallowed resting place.
During the evening of November 25th, 1921, Abdu'l-Bahá attended the usual meeting of the Friends in his own audience chamber. In the morning of Saturday, November 26th, he arose early, came to the tea room, and had some tea. He asked for the fur-lined coat which had belonged to Baha'u'llah. He often put on this coat when he was cold or did not feel well. He so loved it. He then withdrew to his room, lay down on his bed, and said, "Cover me up. I am very cold. Last night I did not sleep well. I felt cold. This is serious. It is the beginning." After more blankets had been put on, he asked for the fur coat he had taken off to be placed over him. That day he was rather feverish. In the evening his temperature rose still higher. But during the night the fever left him. After midnight he asked for some tea. On Sunday morning, November 27th, he said, "I am quite well and will get up as usual and have tea with you in the tea room." After he had dressed, he was persuaded to remain on the sofa in his room. In the afternoon, he sent all the friends to the tomb of the Bab, where on the occasion of the anniversary of the declaration of the covenant, a feast was being held, offered by a Parsi pilgrim who had lately arrived from India. At 4 p.m, being on the sofa in his room, he said, "Ask my sister and all the family to come and have tea with me." His 4 sons-in-law and Ruhi Effendi came to him after returning from the gathering on the mountain. They said to him, "The giver of the feast was unhappy because you were not there." He said unto them, "But I was there. Though my body was absent, my spirit was there in your midst. I was present with the friends at the tomb. The friends must not attach any importance to the absence of my body. In spirit I am, and shall always be with the friends, even though I be far away." The same evening he asked for the health of every member of the household, of the pilgrims, and of the friends in Haifa. Very good, he said, when told that none were ill. This was his very last utterance concerning his friends. At 8 p.m, he retired to bed after taking a little nourishment, saying, "I am quite well." He told all the family to go to bed and rest. 2 of his daughters, however, stayed with him. That night the master had gone to sleep very calmly, quite free from fever. He awoke about 1:15 in the morning, got up, and walked across to a table where he drank some water. He took off an outer night garment, saying, "I am too warm." He went back to bed, and when his daughter Ruha Khanum later on approached, she found him lying peacefully, and as he looked into her face, he asked her to lift up the net curtains, saying, "I have difficulty in breathing. Give me more air." Some rose water was brought, of which he drank, sitting up to do so without any help. He again lay down, and as some food was offered him, he remarked in a clear and distinct voice, "You wish me to take some food, and I am going?" He gave them a beautiful look. His face was so calm, his expression so serene, they thought him asleep. He had gone from the gaze of his loved ones.
Thank you. حضرت بهاءالله الحمد لله آثار باقرة الحمد لله أنوار ساطعة الحمد لله سيال الموجات الحمد لله إسراء شديدة الحمد لله عنايات موفورة الحمد لله ألطاف مشروعة مجتبى صف هداية السبيل مجتبى شمس حقيقة التأثير مجتبى نسيم عوض الذي مجتبى فشعرت الصحاب عناوية طاري مجتبى شمس فرعا بالروض لا تقطع بل جميعها إسراء مجتبى قلوب تنزخاية الصفا مجتبى تجلي حضرة البهاء مجتبى تحيو جرتات مجتبى ملكوت العافي منشور ولها
He is the all-glorious. O God, my God, lowly and tearful, I raise my suppliant hands to Thee, and cover my face in the dust of that threshold of Thine, exalted above the knowledge of the learned and the praise of all that glorify Thee. Graciously look upon Thy servant, humble and lowly at Thy door, with the glances of the eye of Thy mercy, and immerse him in the ocean of Thine eternal grace. Lord, he is a poor and lowly servant of Thine, enthralled and imploring Thee, captive in Thy hand, praying fervently to Thee, trusting in Thee, in tears before Thy face, calling to Thee and beseeching Thee, saying, O Lord my God, give me Thy grace to serve Thy loved ones. Strengthen me in my servitude to Thee. Illumine my brow with the light of adoration in Thy court of holiness, and of prayer to Thy kingdom of grandeur. Help me to be selfless at the heavenly entrance of Thy gate, and aid me to be detached from all things within Thy holy precincts. Lord, give me to drink from the chalice of selflessness. With its robe clothe me, and in its ocean immerse me. Make me as dust in the pathway of Thy loved ones, and grant that I may offer up my soul for the earth ennobled by the footsteps of Thy chosen ones in Thy path, O Lord of glory in the highest. With this prayer doth Thy servant call Thee, at dawntide and in the night season. Fulfill his heart's desire, O Lord. Illumine his heart, gladden his bosom, kindle his light, that he may serve Thy cause and Thy servants. Thou art the bestower, the pitiful, the most bountiful, the gracious, the merciful, the compassionate. Abdu'l-Bahá.